So, beginning of when this happened, talk about the a month prior, maybe, and the lead up to it, and your first signs of symptoms, and
Alright, so pretty much what happened was I was getting stomach cramps. I was going to the bathroom more often, but I didn't understand what was going on. And I just dealt with it. I fought through it. I remember being in class and like grabbing my stomach and like I'd be like this on the desk, like trying to hide it in pain. I was always in and out of the bathroom throughout track practice. And then I remember it was one day during lunchtime, and I was always asking my one friend Matt for advice because like he had intestinal issues. And I remember it was during lunchtime. I ran to the bathroom and then there was blood, like a lot of blood in the toilet, and that's when I was like, something's going on. Like I got to figure this out. And when I asked Matt like, have you ever seen blood like that? And he was like, no. I called my mom. I left school. And then I ended up in the hospital for like 4 days, Monday to Thursday.
okay. And then after you got in the hospital, you're there 4 or 5 days, like you said. When did they come up with like the diagnosis? And what did the doctor tell you? Like, what is this disease?
Yeah. So the 4 days I was there, they ran a lot of tests. They did like scans of my intestinal tract. They did an endoscopy, a colonoscopy, and then pretty much what they found out is that I have ulcerative colitis. Um, it's an autoimmune disease where your immune system attacks your colon and causes ulcers and inflammation. And so each day I was getting a different test done pretty much. And then they hit me with, I was getting IV steroids. That was like the medication I was on. And they were also giving me like fluids and like nutrients because I lost a little bit of weight. And the steroids, they work. They're a good drug, but they come with side effects. Acne, roid rage. I would retain salt, so like my face would blow up, my body would blow up. And then when I got out, I actually got out the day of my Ocean County track meet. I was like begging my doctor, like, please, like, just let me out, let me out. And then they send you home on like an oral steroid. I think it was like 60 milligrams or something like that. And then that day I ran in the Ocean County track meet and I placed first in the 100-meter dash. Yeah.
And what year was this?
This was my eighth grade year. I was 14 years old, so it was 2008, May 2008,
All right,
around that
and
time.
you won the track meet. What is after he tells you this diagnosis? What's kind of like what were you thinking?
Honestly, I didn't take it seriously. I didn't know what it really was because they put me on medication. I got better, and then they sent me home on medication. A lot of medication. I was on like 17 pills a day or something like that, something crazy. And I just didn't take it seriously. I was a compliant patient. I did everything they asked me to do. And I just never thought it was going to have an effect on me. Like I said, I came out of the hospital, I ran in the track meet, and I won. And like me, get to know me a little bit. I'm stubborn. And if I want to do something, I'm going to do it, and nothing's going to stop me from doing it. So I took it almost as like a challenge, like me versus this disease. And I just never thought it was ever going to get to this point.
Okay, and sports were a big part of your life. You wanted to be a college football
Yeah.
player. And so how did sports kind of like help you, I get like just like mentally get through this or get to where you are right now? Kind of give you that motivation.
Yeah. Sports were everything for me. They were an outlet. Because anger, emotions, it was just a way for me to do what I do at the level I enjoyed doing it, and being with your friends, competing, it just made me never think that I was sick, you know? And it was everything. It got me through everything.
Okay. So after this initial stage, they diagnosed you. You're 14 years old. You still had to go through high school at this point. Talk me through, I guess, freshman year or sophomore year, these beginning stages, getting used to this new life.
So I remember talking about my freshman year. I was bigger. It actually helped me a little bit. The steroids actually helped me because they made me put on some weight. So I ended up making varsity as a freshman for football. I was like 170 pounds as a freshman. I was bigger then than I am now. And then what would happen? I would wean off, and as I'd wean off, I'd start losing the weight. I'd start pretty much getting back to normal. And I remember like there were some days I would drive to school. My brother would take me to school, and like I would throw up on the way to school. The mornings were tough for me. The mornings, for some reason, I don't know really what it was. Maybe it's because I had an empty stomach. I was in pain probably till like second or third period in school. And yeah, I just ignored it. Me and Pain, we made a good friendship over time. I just did what I had to do, and I just didn't let it stop me.
They say that you go through remission, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's when you're like you're trying to like get better and recover.
Yeah.
Right? So, how often did you go through that process?
See, like pretty much with me, I never really hit remission. Looking back at it now, I would flare up every fall and every spring. And in that time, I was still on steroids. So like, I was on them, they'd make me feel better. And then as I'm weaning off, I'm still on them. And then when I'm off of them for a few months, boom, I flare up in the spring, So like it was always really constant. The only time they ever told me what I was in remission was my junior year. It was the first year I decided not to play basketball. It was right after football season, and I went hard in the gym. I got healthy, and I wasn't on steroids, and I got strong. I was like 180 pounds. It was the best I've ever felt. And then they did a colonoscopy that February of my junior year, and they told me I was in remission, that, the ulcers are gone, the inflammation's gone. But I just in my gut, it just didn't feel right. I don't know if the colonoscopy itself triggered the next flare-up, because they did take a lot of biopsies where they're like little tears in your intestine, and they test that piece. And I don't know if it was that. I don't know what it was, but right after that, once they told me I was in remission, I ended up getting a flare-up that next spring.
Do you think that had something to do with stress? Because they say stress could be a reason.
Yeah.
And obviously you're very stressed. Because of the situation.
Looking back at it now, I don't know what my triggers were. There's a lot of different research on a lot of different things: seasonal, stress, food. I think stress, not even knowing I was stressed, did have a part in it. Maybe, worrying about football the next season is why I got it in the spring. During football season, start of a new school year, maybe that stress. So I never really figured it out, but I know stress definitely played a big part in it. And yeah.
Okay. So you're in high school, and you obviously want to be a kid. You want to have fun and go out and stuff. And so we're making a documentary, and it's about chronic diseases and how kids, our age, go through this and have, continue on with their life. So What were some of like the hardships? Were you trying to hide it from your friends? Was it something you were scared about? You know, what was your social life like? What were you think like? What was just talk about your emotions in that
Yeah,
aspect.
I hid it from everyone. Everyone. My teachers, my best friends, my girlfriend, even my parents at times when I could. Like I never wanted people to see me in a vulnerable state, especially I don't want this to come out the wrong way, especially who I was in high school. You know, like I said, I was a 4-year starter, class president. I had a lot of things going for me, so I wasn't letting anyone see a weakness, you know? So I just put it all on myself, and that in itself was bad. Internalizing it was bad. And some of the stuff I dealt with, the social life, the social aspect, you know, kids in high school, you know, underage or not, they drink, they have a good time, and I missed out on a lot of that. I couldn't drink. Every time I drank, I put myself into a flare up. So I felt different than everyone. But at the time, I just told myself I was doing what I have to do for myself. It was aggravating. It was frustrating. And it bothered me because I knew if I didn't have this disease, I really didn't have much limitations besides my disease. So it was frustrating.
What did you look towards for like guidance at this time? You know, obviously doctors can give you the definitions and all of that, but who is your like inspiration to get, you know, keep on going and try to reach your goal? And
Honestly, my older brothers, every single one of them, they were great high school athletes. They were great football players, and all I wanted to do was be that, was to be a good athlete, get a scholarship, and go to college. So I just always, my family, just how we are, how we handle adversity is just how I wanted to handle adversity, and just strong-minded people, a lot of passion, and I just put my passion into me versus this disease.
okay, so at this point, junior in high school, the flare-ups happened again every spring, fall, like
Hmm.
you said. Um, Now it's getting close to, I guess, the next step in life, college.
Yeah.
And talk me about, like, tell me about where you were at that point with the disease, heading into senior year.
Yeah, that's kind of when it all took a downward spiral. Was right after my junior year. So they told me I was in remission. I ended up getting a flare up that spring, and they put me on. I was on Remicade. It's like a type of chemo drug. I used to go to the hospital and I used to get Remicade infusions for like 4 hours. So I'd get hooked up to my IV. They'd give me Benadryl to sleep, and I was doing that every so often. I think it was in the beginning it was more often, and then after that it was every 4 weeks, every 8 weeks, whatever it was. And once I had that next flare up in that spring, I rebelled. I was pissed off because I did everything right, and I still wasn't where I wanted to be. You know, I was such a compliant patient. I'm doing everything you ask of me, and I'm still sick. So that summer, I drank a lot, too much, more than I ever did at that point in my life. Not like a crazy amount, but like I would drink more. And I didn't care what I ate. I didn't care about anything, really. And that summer, I ended up in the hospital again. For the longest time I've ever been in the hospital, it was 10 days. I got real weak. They put me on a lot of steroids, and at that point, the amount of times I was on steroids, they were affecting my body more. My muscles would just deplete. And I also, at that time, talk about stress, I was planning on getting recruited going into my senior year, so I was doing football camps. And I was doing well at every one I went to. And then I went to Cornell for a football camp, and a lot of unfortunate things happened. on the way there to where I ended up being late for the camp, and I hurt my hamstring that summer. Ended up finding out that I had tears in it, but I never got an MRI at the time because I didn't have insurance. So that was stressful, just trying to get back for my senior year, like this is my year, this is my time to shine, and going into my senior year, it wasn't the vision I had for myself. In my senior year, I struggled. I played in 4 games. I was hurt every single game. I spent a lot of money, of my own money, my mom, on active release therapy, acupuncture. I did everything just to get through a season. And looking back at it now, I should have sat out. I should have rested. But I was stubborn. I'm not sitting out of my senior year. My team needs me, and they needed me because we weren't very good that year, and ended up being 2-8. And then my senior year, it was a tough year for me altogether. I had a tough football season, and then I actually ended up getting in a lot of trouble my senior year. In the last game, actually also that fall, my grandma passed away. I was going through another flare-up, and I remember I was on a lot of steroids, and it was the last game of the year. I sat out a good amount of games to get myself good enough for this last game, the Thanksgiving game versus our crosstown rival, High School North. I went to physical therapy, I think, for a month, 4 weeks, just to get ready for the game. And I played well. I did well. I ended up scoring 2 touchdowns. We won the game, but my coach kept taking me out on offense, but was letting me play defense. I played defense. That's all I played all year because I couldn't run the ball, but I got myself good enough for this game so I scored 2, like I said, I scored 2 touchdowns. I wasn't playing bad. And at halftime, my one coach comes up to me and tells me, stop putting yourself in on offense. You're gonna F us like you have all year. And he meant that as me being hurt, kind of, screwed the team a little bit. And I remember going up to my head coach and telling him, this is what he said to me. I'm begging you, please don't take me out. This is my last game. I'll die on this field. I don't care if my leg falls off, And he kept doing it, kept taking me out. And then it got to a point where, my teammates are telling me, why is he doing this to you? Why are you doing this? Then he would send the one kid in, and I told him to get out. I'm not getting out of the huddle. And then he'd send him in again, told him to get out of the huddle. And then he called a timeout, and he told the ref that I was injured. He forced me out of the game, and I lost it. I skitzed out. And I told him, I effing hate you with everything in my heart. And I remember throwing a big tantrum on the sideline, threw my helmet, just in rage, roid rage, emotional rage, your senior year. And that was the end of it. After the game, none of the coaches talked to me. I handed in my pads, and I left. It was November break. I came back, and Mr. Thomas told me, "Hey, knucklehead, come to my office at the end of the day." So he called me a knucklehead. I didn't think anything of it. And no one really gets in trouble for what they do in a sports game in school. So I was blindsided. I didn't see it coming. And he tells me that if I don't apologize to my head coach, I'm going to lose every accolade I've earned throughout high school. Ambassador, National Honor Society, class president. It was him and the soccer coach. and they ripped me. I remember the soccer coach, he was like, listen, like, I don't care if you want to apologize to him. I don't care what you do, but you deserve these things. So if you don't apologize to him, I'm going to take you outside and I'm going to smack you inside of the head. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just, they were two real people talking to me as a person. And the coach came in and he ripped me. Said a lot of mean things. Said I was an embarrassment. Just a lot of things about my family, about myself. He was crying. He was emotional. I heard him in what I said. And he just walked out. Said what he had to say and walked out. And I looked at the assistant principal, soccer coach, and I'm like, you expect me to apologize to this man now? And they didn't know what to say. And throughout that process, I had to prove that I was worthy of my accolades. I lost National Honor Society because I ended up getting 2 days of ISS. My principal she was tough, man. She wanted to make an example out of me. And what I got in trouble for, the actual thing I got in trouble for was using profanity. Not so much telling him that I hate him, it was just for using the F word. But coaches, players, they curse all the time. So I fought. You know, I would sit down and I'd have meetings with her, and I wasn't just your normal student who was like, okay, I'll accept I never felt the punishment fit the crime. You know, I knew I deserved to suffer consequences. I deserved to get in trouble. I just never felt that it, to that degree, was fair. I couldn't go to my banquet. I couldn't play in the all-shore game. I lost everything. And now you're telling me that I can't be president? So I told her, my peers voted me in as president, not you. You didn't give me that. Ambassador, the school gives you that. National Honor Society school gives you that. My peers voted me as president. So I don't feel I deserve to lose that. And she made me, I had to write papers, 2 3-page papers proving why I deserve to have a leadership role. And I wrote them. I met with the assistant superintendent, and I had such a good meeting with him that he actually offered to write my letter of recommendation for college. But he told me there's nothing I can do. You're going to lose what you're going to lose. You know, you got 2 days ISS. It is what it is at this point. Then I remember our student council ran this indoor pep rally. It was beautiful, man. It was like a holiday pep rally. We got everyone involved. We got the chess team involved. We got teachers involved, the cheerleaders involved. Really, everyone said it was one of the greatest pep rallies they've seen in a long time, because we don't usually do indoor pep rallies. And I was the person running it. It wasn't all me. I used everyone for what they were good at, you know. I had a lot of good friends. I had a good supporting cast in student council, and we killed it. And at that point, they couldn't take anything away from me. And I ended up writing a letter to my coach because I couldn't face him face to face. And I apologized, but I let him know how I felt. And that whole process it was tough. My whole senior year was tough, but my friends, the teachers that did care about me, got me through it. And I loved it, man. It was great. It was a great senior year, but it took a toll on me.
Did they know that you had ulcerative colitis?
Yeah, they knew. But I never had a 504 plan, which is what it's called, which would let your teachers know, would let everyone know, like, this kid has special needs, you know? So now when I'm trying to use it, they're telling me I'm trying to use it as an excuse now, you know? But I was on a lot of steroids. He knew that. He knew I was on steroids. He knew what I'd been through at that point. And I told them, like, I had roid rage, like, in combination with just a normal kid losing his mind because it's his senior year, you know? But it didn't matter at that point. She wanted to make an example out of me. And she did. And I remember, man, it was big. Everyone was talking about it. Teachers were talking about it. Does Mario deserve to get in trouble? Does he not deserve to get in trouble? Students were talking about it. Can you believe this? Can you believe that? And it was a big deal. But but it didn't matter because I had my peers. My peers knew who I was, and that's all that mattered to me.
Okay. Now fast forward a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now you graduated high school. Your next step was you went to Ocean County Community College, correct?
Not immediately.
I mean,
I was still chasing the football dream, so I went to a prep school right out of high school. I went to, it was Worcester Academy in Worcester, Massachusetts. I played football there. I did play football there. I ended up I ended up getting recruited, but that November break, so just like a normal college, I came home for November break, and I got another flare up. Ended up in the hospital, and this one was different. It was bad. It was just each flare up was worse and worse. It was more of a setback. It was more weight. It was more pain. It was everything, and that one hit me. It hit me hard. I was like contemplating like different. I wanted to like work on a cruise ship and like I just wanted to live a different lifestyle. I just didn't want to even be a part of society at that point. And I had that flare up, and then I didn't go back to Worcester. I ended up getting a blood clot in around that time also, I think in December. And I told them like I can't go back for the spring. And then that's when I set up a consultation with my surgeon, because they kept telling me that you're not a candidate for surgery, you're not a candidate for surgery. That's what they always told me throughout my disease, and it didn't make sense to me. So I sat down with a surgeon that December. I think it was actually December 27th. I went with my dad, my mom, my sister. Like, we came in full force. My sister has a notepad. We're all asking questions, and I asked questions. What's your success rate? Who has a bag? Who's on medication? And he loved it. He loved that I was so into it, because it's my life, it's my disease, this is my surgery. My parents aren't getting this surgery, And he was confident, and he was awesome. But then at that point, I tried to do the lifestyle change. I changed my diet, I changed everything I was doing, and it was working at that point. And then that spring is when I ended up getting the surgery.
First question, talk me through a flare-up.
Yeah. So put it this way, you use the bathroom more often, and obviously, and there's times where you go, nothing comes out, your stool changes, there's blood, there's severe cramps in your abdominal region, weight loss, you don't want to eat because you don't want to use the bathroom. At my worst, I used the bathroom 27 times in one day. Yeah. And then it got to a point where like you'd have inflammation in your rectum so bad that you think you'd have to go, but you don't have to go. Or you don't think you have to go and you do have to go, and it was, so you're sitting on the toilet. I remember one night I was sitting on the toilet all night. I was at my girlfriend's house. I was on the toilet. I'm not kidding, from 12 o'clock at night till 5 in the morning. I would sit on the couch and then I would just sit on the toilet because I didn't know, And it was tough. It's tough to deal with. Flare-ups are bad. Flare-ups they're tough.
You mentioned Dr. Hirsch, from NYU.
Yeah.
Did the procedure on you.
Yeah.
At what point did that happen? When did he approach you saying, I can do this procedure on you?
Well, when I met him at the consultation, I didn't find this out till later, but at that point, at this, turning point in my life, turning point in my disease, it was either Humira, which you see on all the advertisements, all the great advertisements on TV, but Humira comes with a lot of side effects, severe side effects, cancer, TB, rare heart, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then the person in the commercial smiling and laughing, but these side effects are being said. And he told my dad, I remember my dad telling him, like, I don't want to hear that my son's in remission and then them tell me that my son has cancer. Because I had a cancer scare my junior year after I was on the chemo drugs. My parents didn't tell me, but my like white blood count was high or something like that, but it ended up being all right. So I knew that I had this reaction to these types of drugs. And he told my dad, because my dad talked to him, he told me I was a candidate. And he told my dad, your son has 1 foot in a coffin and 1 foot on a banana peel. And that was him saying, like, your son needs to get this surgery, And then I had another setback that spring, and I wasn't going back to Jersey Shore to be put on steroids, to be put on Humira, to be fed all this medication, to be back where I am next year, you know what I'm saying? So I sent him an email asking him, like, what do I do? I didn't have insurance.
I'm just going to stop you.
That's
Can
fine.
you just say, like, instead of him, just say Dr. Hirsch
Okay.
or NYU, just at least once,
Okay.
just so we have that context, because I just noticed it's just him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
No, that's fine.
what you were saying.
Yeah, so Dr. Hirsch, I met with him, and this guy is my angel. He saved my life, and I emailed him, Dr. Hirsch, and I was like, what do I do at this point, He said, come in to NYU, and they have to treat you. And he did an emergency surgery, but he knew I knew I was going there for that, and I had the surgery, and that was March 18th, 2013.
What did that surgery do? Where has it brought you now?
Yeah, so I'll explain a little bit what the surgery is in itself. They removed my entire large intestine. It's actually a real interesting surgery. It's like a laparoscopic surgery, so they do like little slits and they go in there with cameras, and they do the whole thing through a camera, and like it's amazing. And they take out the whole large intestine, and then they pull down your small intestine. Your small intestine's like 20 feet long. They pull down like 2 feet of that, and they cut it and they stitch it and they form it into this J pouch it's called, and they connect it to your rectum. And then that pouch functions as your colon now. And I remember right after I felt great. I felt awesome. I ended up putting like 10 pounds on in the first like 6 weeks. But something went wrong. I didn't know what went wrong at that point, but I struggled for the next 5 months. It was actually the worst 5 months of my life. I ended up having a clot, a knot in my intestines. My intestines knotted, and I dealt with pain that people shouldn't have to deal with. I dealt with things that were bad in that next 5 months, and it was horrible. And then that August, I was in and out of the doctor at this point in these 5 months, and they didn't know what was going on. I remember I went to Jersey Shore. They did like a scan of my pouch. They said everything looks good, and then they would put me on antibiotics, and I'd feel a little better. But then I'd go right back to that point, and in August 5th, I ended up going in for another surgery. This was an exploratory surgery, and that's when he found out that my intestines were knotted. And what he did was the guy's amazing. He'd never seen anything like it before in his life. I think it's like a 0.01% chance of it ever happening, and he just snipped both sides of the knot and stitched them back together, and I was good. I lost a lot of weight though. I was like down to like 125 pounds. I was real sick. Yeah.
So now that that surgery happened, I guess, where does that leave you?
So in the beginning, your pouch has to learn how to function as a colon. So your stool's loose. You still go more often. I think in the beginning I was going 10 to 15 times a day. And then what happens is you also have to teach like your rectum how to hold it, you know. And what he would tell me is like I'd have to hold it so the stool can expand the pouch because it needed to expand over time. And then just over time, as it learns how to function, it starts working properly. And it comes with other symptoms. You know, you're using the bathroom so often, you get butt burn because your stool's so loose and it's acidic, and that's tough in itself. And then just, I'm always going to use the bathroom more than a normal human, which I'm fine with. And certain foods can't, you know, that's all I got right now.
Yeah, okay. And talk about a candidate for surgery. Could you just say, like, how do you become a candidate?
So, see, knowing what I know now, I was young, you know, and there's complications that come with this surgery. You can live with a bag for the rest of your life. And what was I, 18 years old, 19 years old, and that's a big step. So a candidate, I guess, would be that your disease is so severe that you have no other option. So what they try to do is they just keep trying new medications. And I wasn't having that. Like I said, I'm not being a lab rat anymore. I'm not doing it. So I guess in order to be a candidate, your disease needs to be severe enough. You know, your ulcers need to be severe enough. Your inflammation needs to be severe enough. And the complications that come with it at that young of an age, is it worth it? You know, there's you know, you can become sterile. You can, like I said, have to live with a bag. So like, is that worth, you know what I'm saying, that decision at that time in your life? That's really what it is. Are you a candidate for surgery?
Okay. And just for the purposes of this documentary, like, could you just say, I guess, what is it like? What is it like, you know, to be a kid with chronic disease? Just yeah.
It's tough. It's you feel different. Sometimes you feel alone. And to know that this is what I have to deal with, and you know, why me? Why this happened to me? What did I do? You know, I struggled with that for a while. And it's tough being different, especially when you're different and it's out of your control. And you miss out on your youth. You know, my dream got taken away from me. All I wanted to do was play college football, and it got taken away from me. So anger is my number one emotion. You know, I don't get upset. I don't. It's rage. I get pissed off. So it's tough. It's hard. And then, you know, you see these kids your age living this lifestyle, an unhealthy lifestyle, you know, eating out, McDonald's, Wendy's, drinking, you know, doing this, doing that, and you can't even, you know, you can't do any of those things. Not like I want to, you know, it's unhealthy, but you just feel outcast, alone.
Sorry. You're good.
Okay.
If you need a break.
No, I'm good.
At any point, just let me know.
No, I'm good.
Ryan, what do you think we should continue asking?
All right, so that stuff was great, by the way.
Yeah, that was awesome.
This is really
Thank
good.
you.
Wait, scroll back up a little bit.
Like the medical care stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we can ask more about, like, I guess just try to get this stuff as much as, like, we can on video. So what we're going to kind of focus on now is, like, our last phone call. I think we talked, it was, like, about, the process of like applying for Medicaid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We'll talk fun process.
Yeah, great process.
So we'll like definitely talk to you about that.
Okay.
We'll talk to, and then just follow those questions pretty much, I guess.
All right, let me use. I just gotta use the
go
bathroom
for it.
real quick. I just have to pee.
Yeah,
Oh.
do your thing. Oh, you're still tethered.
My bad. When was it? It's hard to remember. It was that spring of that surgery, pretty much.
Okay.
Is when I was trying to figure, because I didn't have insurance. My dad went to jail. We lost our insurance, and it was around that time that I was trying to get Medicaid.
Okay. I'm just gonna like ask you basically what he just asked you.
Yeah.
Sure. So I guess explain like the medical bills. You guys didn't have insurance. So how did you pay for the medical care, and explain the process of Medicaid?
Yeah, so we lost our insurance, and I went to apply for Medicaid, and it's a tricky system, you know. And I remember I had to go down to the building. It was on like Hooper Avenue, and I would sit there for hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. A few different times I had to do that. I had to go to this building, the next building, and you're in there, and you're in there with people that you know, people that struggle with drugs, people that have multiple kids at such a young age, and you almost have to finagle the truth to get what you want. All I wanted was medical care, but it was hard. You know, you're telling them, I just had surgery, I can't work, I can't do this, and they just don't care. You're just another person, you're just another number, that's all you are to them. And I remember I had to tell them that I needed financial assistance because I was living on my own, paying rent. And they gave me Medicaid and they gave me general assistance, and through that I got Medicaid. And at that point I had to go see different doctors because Medicaid, not every doctor sees Medicaid, you know, takes Medicaid as their insurance. And the doctors that I went to, they just weren't great doctors. You know, I've been to a lot of doctors and they just weren't. You know, you call, they don't answer. You're on a waiting list for, you know, you call them, you're waiting for 30 minutes just to talk to someone, yet you know their job is they're just sitting behind a desk answering phone calls. And it was tough, man. It was frustrating. It was aggravating. And, you know, to not be able to see the doctors you want to go see, to get the care that you deserve as a patient, and you just don't get it because you have a less accepted insurance that they take, and it's just not fair to a kid at my age, at that age. It's not fair to anyone at all. Everyone deserves care. Shouldn't be turned away because of the insurance you have.
So at that point, is that when Dr. Hirsch approached you, or when you reached out to him?
Yeah, so I reached out to him. I went to him telling him I didn't have insurance. I actually had to pay for the consultation cash. What was it, like $150?
I'm gonna stop you. Can you just start that over? What did you just ask him? You just asked him. Ask him that question again, but just say Dr. Hirsch.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. So at that point, you're denied insurance and care. So you reached out to Dr. Hirsch, and
Yeah, so Dr. Hirsch, when I visited him for the consultation, I had to pay cash. And at that time, my father went away to jail. We lost our insurance. And I remember I emailed him, like, what do I do? And he told me to go, and they have to treat you because you're in the emergency room. And when I went there, I'm pretty sure I ended up getting charity care at NYU. And NYU itself, it's a great hospital. Each time I went to the hospital at Jersey Shore, the first thing, someone came in with their card, their computer, and asked me about insurance. As I'm in pain and I want to talk to a doctor, I want medication, and you're asking me about insurance. If I didn't have my mom through this all, I don't know how people do it. Even now, I struggle with insurance. I still don't know that much about insurance because it's confusing. It's a tricky system, and they would come in and ask me about insurance. When I went to NYU, I did not get asked once about insurance. Anytime I went there. Every time I went to Jersey Shore, the first person that came in was insurance. Every time I went to NYU, no one came in. So just that alone shows you the difference in care at different hospitals. And yeah, I don't remember what the question exactly was.
No, that was great.
That was
Yeah.
okay.
So then, yeah. So you talked about the surgery. Now you enrolled at Rutgers this last year, 2014.
No, this fall was my first year at Rutgers.
Okay.
Well, first 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you applied to Rutgers. You got in, obviously.
Yeah.
And you talked here about this summer leading up to that. And it was like an emotional time, very nervous. And how did that whole situation with Rutgers go? Did they provide you with any assistance when you were going to be attending?
Yeah, so what happened was, my big thing was I didn't want to live with other people and have to explain my problems. I go to the bathroom, it don't smell too good, you know what I'm saying? I go to the bathroom more often. I have things that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I remember I wanted my own living space. So I remember calling Rutgers and asking for special accommodations. And they have it, they offer it, but I didn't get it. Because I didn't want to live with people. So I ended up getting my own apartment with my brother. It actually worked out perfect. But I was just looking to get an apartment off campus by myself because I knew I didn't want to have to share a living space with someone because of what I have to deal with.
Okay. So the only thing they provided was special accommodations for living, and that didn't even...
Yeah, that didn't even go through.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's when you decide, this is not for me right at this time to go to Rutgers.
No, I still went to Rutgers. I lived with my brother, and then the only special accommodations I wanted, like I said, were just my own living space, my own bathroom, and my own kitchen specifically, because I cook my own meals, and I don't want to have to share a bathroom with too many people because I don't think they're going to want to share it with me. And so it worked out to where my brother lived with me. It was the ideal situation. I had someone familiar with me, someone who cared about me, someone that knew what I'm going through. So it was perfect. But Rutgers, see, what happened was this whole summer, I was dealing with something that I didn't even know I was dealing with. So this last spring, I ended up losing weight. I pulled a muscle in my back. I had a tough summer, man. I struggled with a lot of things that I've never struggled with before. Depression, anxiety, and just I was afraid that I wasn't ready to go away yet, but I want it to go away. That's the next step, that's the next step in a kid's life. And, society tells you that you need to graduate by a certain time, you need to go to college, you need to do this. So it's what I wanted to do. And I went to OCC 3 weeks after my second surgery. Like I said, I was 125 pounds. I was weak. And I did it. So I told myself, if I can do that, I can do this. But it was too much, man. I got into an accident in 2014, and a car accident. I got rear-ended, and that just added another complication, you know, another thing I had to deal with. So when I lost all this weight this summer, I went to Dr. Hirsch, and he saw it in my face. He knew something was going on, and he actually set me up with a doctor that's affiliated with NYU. So pretty much anything that she does, he sees. She's, you know, it's just better. I need to be affiliated. I need to just be there, because I was at a point where I had a gastro here at the Jersey Shore. I had a surgeon up there. They're communicating. You know, and I was doing the communicating for them. Well, not for them, for myself, because that's just what I had to do. And my gastro, he wasn't familiar with this surgery, this J pouch. He didn't know enough about it. So what happened was I met with Hirsch, and he actually, right then and there, called the other doctor's office and set me up an appointment with that lady that day. So I left his office, I went with her, and from there I had to get tests done. But that takes time, you know. You schedule a test, it's 3 weeks later. Then you get the results, it's 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying? So like, it got to a point where I didn't find out what was going on with me until I had Rutgers started September 1st, and I had an appointment with her, my gastro, September 2nd, making our game plan moving forward. So at that point I was there, you know, and she put me on antibiotics, and they worked, but they came like all medication, they come with side effects, and they affected my stomach. I couldn't eat. I couldn't hold anything down. I threw up a few times, and just through the weight loss, the accident, the fact that I had pouchitis, which I didn't mention, that's what I did have, which I could have been struggling with for a long time now and not even knowing. But I know I definitely got it last spring, and I've had it all summer, and that's why I had the weight loss. That's why I had the you know, everything I was dealing with. And then at Rutgers, when I was on the antibiotics, it just added more. And I was going to class, and I just wasn't physically strong enough to do it anymore. You know, I had muscle spasms from my ankles all the way up into my neck. I was bringing a pillow to class to put behind my back. I was getting up, going to the back of the class, stretching. I would go outside, take a break for a little bit, because, you know, you're in class for an hour and 20 minutes sitting down. And, you know, when you sit down, people don't really know this, but your hamstrings tighten up, your hips tighten up. Just the posture of sitting isn't good for you. And when you're weak and your muscles aren't what they were, you know, I lost 12 pounds throughout the summer. And then when I got put on the antibiotics from not eating, from going to class, from putting my body through too much, I lost an additional 10 pounds. So now I'm down 22 pounds, and I don't even have that weight to lose. Your muscles really, really take a toll. You know, it takes a toll on you. And I couldn't do it. Not that, you know what, let me change that. Not that I couldn't do it. I wasn't doing it to myself again. I wasn't putting my body through something that it's just not worth it, you know? What really is school? What is anything, really, if you're not healthy? You know, what's money? What's possession? It means nothing if you know, you're about to die, you know? And so thank God I was living with my brother, because who knows how long I would have stuck it out. Who knows what I would have did to myself. But I opened up to him, and I decided to drop out. So I can't do this to myself anymore. I don't deserve it, you know? It's not fair to me. And then that's when I decided, and then from there, it was a process in itself.
Okay. Yeah, and my last question is, it sounds like you've, I guess, have a better or deeper meaning to life now.
Yeah.
And you've kind of seen things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Over the last 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
What is that perspective? And what do other people take for granted?
So, I've almost died a few times in my life. I've looked death right in the eyes, and, as a 22-year-old kid, I've dealt with more than people do in a life. I've suffered more than people do in a lifetime. And every time I was at that point, I'd question things. What's the meaning of life? What's my purpose? What's my destiny? What's success? What is anything, And every time that I was at these points, the things that I clinged on to were people, relationships, love is really the only thing that matters. Because when you die, you don't die with what you own. You don't die with the money that you have. You don't die with the degree that you have. When you're laying in a hospital bed staring at the ceiling and all you have is the people that are around you, your girlfriend holding your hand, your best friend, your family, and the relationships you built in this life is all that matters. So people think they have problems because they can't pay their bills. They failed the test. Things that just don't mean anything. And pretty much you just got to be grateful for every single day, because tomorrow's not promised to anyone. It doesn't matter who you are. Like I said, I was the man in high school. I was on top of the world. I showed you my crowns: homecoming king, prom king, ambassador, national honor society, class president, 4-year football player, 2-year captain. Don't matter. Death shows no bias. And once you realize that love and the relationships you build and people, just this right here, what we have going on right now, this relationship we're going to build just by doing this documentary, that's all that matters in this world. And that's it.
Man.
Thanks. That was tough.
It's totally fine, man.
No, yeah, I knew it was coming. I shook a few times. I fought it. I suppressed it, but it was coming there, so it's all good.
Hey, it's you, man.
Yeah, no, it's me.
And you'll let your people will share this story.
Yeah,
and
I'm excited.
Help other people.
Yeah,
so,
that's the whole point. Ooh, thank you guys.
Of course.
Yeah.
So now what?
Great question. You feel like you're good with everything, Alex?
I think we've gotten plenty. Over an hour's worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. What do you think?
I feel confident.
Alright.
I mean, always come back. Worst case.
No, yeah, whatever you guys need, man. I'm here. I'm chilling.
Yeah, as far as questions for him, I think we got everything.
You need to talk with my mom?
Yeah,
I
think we should.
Yeah.
Probably.
We'll just say right here.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Honestly, I
Alright.
don't see why not. It's
Yeah,
all set up.
I won't keep her for a long
No, that's
time.
fine. She don't mind, man. She was there through it all.